Bengals Eagles. Last 1 o'clock game that we have here in the early slate. Bengals coming off a win against the Cleveland Browns. The Philadelphia Eagles coming into town as the road team here. What do we think about this one? What's the matchup that matters for you?
Yeah, it's got to be how this Bengals pass defense performs against AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, who are back to their old ways, despite the fact that also, Saquon went off. That's been kind of the bread and butter of this Philadelphia Eagles offense, as these guys, their receivers have been hurt, but their receivers are no longer hurt. So, in the way that we were just talking about the Bucs kind of shifting to a run-first offense, this Eagles team can get back to their high-flying ways. You see what I did there?
Birds,
AJ
birds.
Brown in single coverage, 98.6 PFF grade, which is tops of the tops among wide receivers. Devontae Smith this season, 33 targets, 25 catches on those targets for over 300 yards, 127 yards after the catch too, which is really funny when you think about the kind of Devontae Smith's size. The fact that he's still fighting for yards and getting those yards after the catch is a really good sign too for Jalen Hurts and this Eagles offense. So I'm really going to need these guys to be productive, and that's something that this Bengals team, they have two of the top 15 highest graded cornerbacks when in single coverage in DJ Turner and Dax Hill. So this is, again, kind of a strength on strength. Who's going to get the better of each other? This Bengals defense has some making up to do, to me and Bengals fans, for the way that they started this season. So this is a really good way to get back on track with a strength of this unit.
I think this is a big time identity game.
Sure.
I think that both of these teams are certainly not exactly where they would want to be, but there's no reason to say that either team is out of it quite yet, even if they haven't played as well as they have wanted to so far this season. But when I say this is an identity game, the first matchup that I'll start with is the Eagles run game versus the Bengals run defense. This is an area where the Eagles need to continue to dominate on the ground, because if they don't, I don't know if they have enough of their intermediate passing game to be good enough to have that be a main identity of their team. Now, the A.J. Brown deep shots has saved them over the last couple of weeks. They need those. They need him healthy and in the lineup. That's always going to exist for them, those shot plays. But the shot plays, once again, need to be complementary of the run game. And I think when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they are top 5 in the league this year just over the last 2 weeks. So I kind of wanted to have a 2-week sample size to talk about what these teams were like going into this game. Last 2 weeks, top 5 in EPA per rush, top 5 in total rushing yards. Saquon Barkley is a big reason why. He's 3rd in the NFL in rushing yards, 5th in yards after contact, 1st in rushes of 30 or more yards, 6th in rushes of 10 or more yards. So he has been totally worth the investment that they gave into him when it came to free agency this past offseason. On the flip side of things, the Bengals defensive line was bad to start the year. Like, this was a unit that we could not talk about enough as one that was letting them down. But over the last 2 weeks, 69.8 run defense grade, 2 highest run defense grades this year. Actually, no, the 69.8 run defense grade was total for the season, and their highest run defense grades have each come over the last 2 weeks, both of those above 70. So they're trending in the right direction there. Do the Bengals have the ability to stop one of the better rushing attacks in the NFL? If they can, I think that is a real sign that the Bengals are turning the page from their woes in the early parts of the season. And then I'll go right into my plus factor with that one. It's the Eagles rookie cornerbacks, because, again, I talked about this is a major identity game for both of these teams. We already know some of the things that they do well as a staple, but do the Bengals have what they need to on defense to stop the Eagles rushing attack? And on the other side of things, do the Eagles have the secondary to slow down one of the better passing attacks in the NFL? They played Cooper DeJean in the slot last week, and he performed very, very well. Quinyon Mitchell's been a little up and down, as you would expect from a rookie starter, but he has been good on the outside. Darius Slay has been good as well. They're going up against one of the best passing offenses in the league, and one that is on fire right now with the Cincinnati Bengals. So to me, it's like, okay, are we about to see that it's not just one unit here or there on either side of the ball for either of these teams? Can one of them come out and say, we are a complete team? Because in this matchup, you've got what should be theoretically a strength on a weakness in both instances. And do they rise to the occasion? So I think this is a massive game, not just for a singular win between these two teams, but also what we are going to believe about them moving forward.
Yeah. And if I can go to the other side of the ball for my plus factor, it's this Bengals offensive line, which I feel like this is just kind of an evergreen thing that we talk about year in and year out. And this year, in the beginning of the year, I feel like we felt like things were kind of fixed, and you saw the production that Joe Burrow had with his receivers. But Joe Burrow is inevitably better when he's kept clean. He's got the second best PFF grade, 89.3, when he's kept clean. The only issue is right now, this Bengals offensive line overall has a 61.4 PFF grade, which ranks 28th in the league. And then pass blocking specifically, their grade of 68.5 ranks 20th. So that's not something you necessarily want to see, especially with obviously Joe Burrow's potential to be so incredibly productive. But B, you have Joe Burrow's injury history. And that's something that is a concern every single year. And you want to make sure that Joe Burrow can stay on the field, because when he is on the field, he is one of the best quarterbacks this league has to offer. So that they're now going against an Eagles defensive line, which is a really, really good one. Fifth best grade, 74.3. And they've got 91 pressures, which is kind of middle of the pack, but against a team that is struggling against like in pass blocking, I'm worried. I'm a little bit worried. And you have guys like Josh Sweat, Jalen Carter. They're doing wonderful things for this Eagles defensive line. And 23 pressures from Sweat, 21 from Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter has just, I mean, we can talk about stats all we want, but you watch these games and your eyes are just inevitably drawn to Jalen Carter and just how much havoc he's wreaking on the interior of that defensive line in Philadelphia. So this is going to be a huge test for the Bengals offensive line, and one that I'm really going to need them to pass.